started running. Morning, noon and night all are hearing. It's just money speech, them prime minister giving. But I say no set of money could form a unity. Talk of all your people need their identity like one race. From the same place that make the same trip on the same ship. So we must push one common intention. It's for a better life in the region. For we women and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. CARICOM is wasting time. The whole Caribbean gone blind. If we don't know from where we come in, then we can't plan where we go in. That's why some want to be communists, brother, some want to be socialists, and one set a religion to add to the foolishness. Look, a man who don't know his history can't form no unity. How could a man who don't know his roots form his own ideology like one race from the same place that make the same trip on the same ship? So we must push one common intention. It's for a better life in the region. For we women and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. The Federation done dead, and Carista going to bed. But the cult of the Rastafarian spreading through the Caribbean. It have Rastas now in Grenada, it have Rastas now in St. Lucia. But to run Carifta, yes, you getting pressure. If the Rastafari movement spreading and Carifta dying slow, then it's something them Rastas on that them politicians don't know. That there's one race from the same place that make the same trip on the same ship. So they pushing one common intention. It's for a better life in the region. For the woman and their children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man.
Yes, indeed, President, good morning to all and sundry. Yes, it is, of course, the Sunday edition of the corridor transformation. Of course, you will see that we are a bit hesitant and so on because the whole place is restructured, redesigned, and there's a new learning curve that has to be achieved in order for consistency. But of course, there is, in the midst of all of that, good news that we have, of course, achieved the objective of wanting to go on YouTube, but there is a technical difficulty. And of course, I had to really rat, frankly, to, of course, the technician last night because we finished around 11, 12 o'clock last night, hoping to at least get a program this morning and tonight. And of course, this is the best that we have been able to come up with, because there were certain what I consider to be issues that I was ignorant of, but the technician ought to have known, but it did not. I don't think he may have, of course, he may have forgotten or somehow omitted. But that being as it may, Murphy's Law as it is will, and of course, once you're doing something good, as all of us know, there are going to be obstacles, there are going to be challenges, but at the end of the day, we must be able, of course, to conquer all of it, no matter what evil may be lurking or has manifested itself. That being as it may, of course, tomorrow is budget day. Yes, indeed, tomorrow is budget day, and therefore we're going to talk and do some nostalgic, let's say, consciousness, as we, of course, look at some of the things that could be better today if, of course, appropriate action would have been taken 8 years ago, for example, or at least the foundational elements that would be making today or tomorrow at least more optimistic for all of Trinidad and Tobago, if those parameters, if those factors, if those variables were, of course, observed. Of course, we know that that has not been, and therefore one doesn't expect anything spectacular in terms of optimism coming out of tomorrow's exercise. We know that, for example, we have seen high profile but low efficacy. Let me repeat that: high profile but low efficacy as far as the paving of roads and so on are concerned. I say high profile from the point of view that these roads, excuse me, are main thoroughfare, and they therefore will obviously cause the attention of motorists and the general motoring, or should I say, commuting population. But we always nestle that in the intent of the government, and the intention clearly is to pave main thoroughfare where thousands of persons will be passing. They obviously will hope that all of Trinidad and Tobago pass there, so they would say that, so the people would say in their mind, having observed the operations, that yes, they are working, etc., etc. But we know that the minor roads and so on are neglected, are still neglected, and that the potholes, of course, as somebody said some time ago, I think it was Andy Williams who said that one person dropped down in a pothole and almost reached Australia. I think that is a serious indictment and a very poignant exemplification of how people view the neglect of our roads and the amount of potholes that has besetted Trinidad and Tobago over the last 8 years or so. Of course, Dr. Rowley would say that it was because of COVID why he had to abandon that, and of course look at saving our lives. I mean, just platitudes and making jest of something that is so damn serious, particularly when he mentioned saving our lives, when in fact $22 billion was allocated for that purpose. And at the end of the day, not only have they not been able to account, but certainly there are people who are waiting still for their hamper. They're waiting, of course, for their compensation for loss of work, and there are those who are waiting for compensation for the loss of their businesses. And I can tell you, many of them, hundreds of them, have lost their business. Entrepreneurs who would be required to make their contribution to the society, generating employment, etc. And God knows we need employment generating opportunities right now. But of course, unfortunately, and I am not optimistic that Dr. Rowley and Imberton Day can, of course, give us any kind of, let's say, hope that would manifest itself. That being as it may, of course, this is once again the Corridor Transformation, the Sunday edition from Chagaramas in the west to Toko in the east. And during the course of the program, we try to keep it within a 1 hour because it's really a test that we are doing. But we said we had to come in, and of course, why Dr. Khalid told me to go and sleep, I resisted, and of course, he said, well, Lennox, you know, you'll overwork, man. Work though dead, man does dead. And I acknowledge that, but I thought it was important since we didn't have a program last night. That of course we should, of course, at least put in a presence today. Let me say that there is a link to the YouTube that we will be giving you during the course of this program and tonight as well. But I also want to tell you that we are not on live, and that is where I had to really attack to the technician. He should have told me that. But of course, the criteria for getting on live on YouTube is that you must have maybe 10 or 15 or 20 subscribers. So I'm giving you the link so that you can subscribe. And in so doing, we'll be able, of course, to get on YouTube simultaneously and have these simultaneous live as, of course, we had promised. In the meantime, I will be uploading to that link several corridor transformation videos, short and long, so that of course we can populate and meet the criteria. Yeah, and meet the criteria that YouTube would want us to meet in order to get on simultaneously like now, but we are not there as yet. But we'll give you the link so you go to it. Why? Because if you type in corridor transformation, you'll go to corridor transformation on YouTube, but it will be an old incarnation, if you want to call it that no longer functions, but it's there. And therefore we have to give you the link so that you can link and subscribe at the same time, so that we can have this simulcast and be on our way to, of course, doing what we promised. I trust that, of course, the reception is much better now as well, because we tweaked last night and we tweaked in order to make certain that we get something done today. That being as it may, and I've spoken enough, I think I should, of course, invite my co-host, Dr. Khalid, to, of course, give you his own salutations as well as what he would want to discuss today as well. Dr. Khalid, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
How is your week so far?
Good, man.
Weekend I'm talking about.
Weekend, praise God. But
and of course, it's the first day of the week, so
yes.
I can say week so far.
Well, you know, the program start back. We have our classes with our children.
Right.
Monday to Friday. But yesterday, some Baptist colleagues of mine, you know, I'm Muslim.
Yes,
but I embrace all religion. I'm one of those religionists who don't fight.
Yeah. You are ecumenical.
That's right. I'm not involved in that. You know what I mean?
Well, of course, the constitution of the country and the nature of the country is one where we are a melting pot.
Yes.
And we appreciate everybody's.
But if human being, particularly us as black folks,
yes,
learn to work with each other and forget this, you're into that religion and I'm into that religion and you into this tribe and that tribe, then we'll come out stronger.
Yes.
Because everybody has gang up on us, come together and forget all the tribe and everything. That's why they could achieve that.
Yes.
So anyhow, so yesterday we had the nice Thanksgiving at our center.
Okay.
Of course, they didn't get it for free. They had to pay.
Yes. So, of course, you had to bring in something in the coffer.
Yes.
Not just a business specific, so I'm sure they didn't get it at market price.
No,
right.
no. But what happened? They were able to take, and they had a nice Thanksgiving there.
Okay.
And there are a lot of people, and I'm proud of those young men and women from Laventil, man.
Okay.
They're from Laventil, Lennox.
Right.
Those people impress me so much. They're well organized. Because you know it is expected that we in Laventil are unorganized, right?
Yeah. Disorganized and all the chaotic.
Yes.
But of course, subterranean culture that
we can't get anything.
We are well known for. Yes, the stigmatization.
I mean, I'm being sarcastic, but
Yeah. So, and that will get you everywhere because it is that's the reality.
Yes. So anyhow, so that's what happened yesterday.
Yes.
And I was out there whole day because we have our car park on Saturday.
Right.
So that but it was good. So my weekend was hard work, but it was fun.
Okay,
fun.
Great, man. All right, well, the budget is upon us.
Right.
And the Chamber of Commerce, for example, is talking about the Chamber as well as other activists are talking about forget everything else and focus on crime. Your favorite subject.
Yeah.
What's your view? Are you in agreement? Because I mean,
how could I be in agreement with that? You have to. Government mean you work with everything. In government, there's no one problem. You have a country to run. It comes like your family. There's no one problem. You have to solve it.
Yeah.
You have this, you have that, you have the other. You have to solve it.
Right.
So forget all who want to say forget everything and just concentrate on crime. While
they be naive.
But they're naive, but
and
not
stupid
only,
as well.
I'm not even going there. I'm saying that they are naive, yes, but they have a plan. Their plan is for us to forget economics and things like that. Just concentrate on crime.
Yes.
And what you're going to do, don't come up with no program for those young men and women who are neglected and just lock them up, put all of them in the prison. That makes sense because the reason you and I cannot support crime. We never did.
Yes.
But we must be realistic, Lennox.
Yeah.
A lot of these young men out there, as I said so many times, they are from broken up homes.
Yeah.
Right? Especially where we are from.
Right.
Broken up homes. Some of them have no way to turn. I'm not justifying the things that they do, but you need to have programs for them.
Yeah.
You need to have programs for them, community programs. You need to get elders, and there are elders who are prepared to be big brothers and big sisters and mother and father and adopt them and things like that. But that must go with some money. You have to invest some
resources.
Money. Yes, you need resources. You need to invest some money in these programs and train these young men. And I could tell you that you will see a difference because right now we are doing just that for free.
Yeah.
We have no money.
Yeah.
We're taking our little pittance and changing them young men and talking to them. And we get the results.
Yeah. But do you see the government sensitive to that? Because of course there is a philosophy that talks about social and psychological capital. And that really means that the funds, the resources that you invest to keep the peace. And of course, that is what we are talking about. If you reduce crime, you keep the peace, and therefore economic activities and other things can take place.
I will tell you something.
Go ahead.
Because as a human being, and of course I'm trying to be religious when I could.
Right.
I like to talk the truth and give credit where it's due. The MP for Laventille East Moban, he would like to do these things, but he not getting any support.
No support. Okay.
He's the only one I can single out.
It's what the country gravitates to, because I had, I was taken aback by that very, what I consider to be dilemma. When Robinson came to open the MLIO program right in Laventille there in Passage Street, and then he talked, then I said, well, the only way people could know that Laventille is a bad place, is a stigmatized place, is because of the media.
Yes.
And the media will, of course, focus on those negatives rather than, populate their articles or their newspaper with positives from the area. And from that perspective, I think because of that imbalance in terms of reporting, the preponderance that people will not come to Laventille, the investment will not take place. People, of course, that can contribute will not gravitate. And then Robinson stood up and said, well, listen, Mr. Smith, I can tell you about the disparaging press. I can never forget those words. Disparaging press. First time I heard that word, so I was a bit taken aback that he would piggyback on what I said. And of course, he was doing it for selfish reasons. Now that I could rationalize, because he was saying that he too was subjected, of course, to the desperation press, right? Of course, the press that is critical, unreasonably, unbalanced, etc. I say so, my friend, because just to emphasize what you were saying, and to, of course, bring another dimension to the quest, that a fella could be as good as he wants, he could be as willing as he wishes, he could be as optimistic as he wishes, but if he does not get the physical and the other support, where that physical and material support would come from, so they could, because it comes from a particular source, and if you are part of the source, but the rest of them are not cooperating, then you're in a lot of problem. Is that the case with this young man of course, he's talking about the representative for Blaverton East Mover, Leons. Go ahead. Adrian Leons.
Yes, he's willing. He's willing, because I would be a big liar if I said, and he knows very well that I'm not a supporter of the PNM. I don't hide it. I don't hide it. Right. But I work with everybody. He knows that.
Right.
But he just don't get the help. He try his best. You know, a lot of people, and I'm not the only non-PNM tell you that. He try his best when they call him. He try to come. But that's how it is. And I'm saying, regardless of which party form the government, they need to have programs. If they want to reform these young people, they need to have programs that can deal with these young people. They need to have people to adopt people and change them, because it can be done. We are trying our best to do it. It's just that we have financial problems.
Yes. I mean, that's crucial. That's crucial. Without that, I mean, the factors of production, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship.
Right. So then some of them is one solution. These money people, the Chamber of Commerce and this chamber and that chamber, the easiest thing for them is to jail them. Jail these people. I want to use a next word, but I can't. From Laventille and these bad areas, and just lock up every single one of them. Prison for all of them. But let our children free to go and do whatever they want.
Yes, their children.
Their children. That might sound hard, but that's a reality.
Right.
So we are the ones that we have been waiting for. Meaning, we are the ones to change it. We can't wait for Jesus to come out of the sky to change it. We have to do it ourselves.
Yes.
But we have to have support. We have to come up with programs. We have to be there in the communities, in the streets, talking to people, changing people, visiting St. Michael home and all these other homes, and we could change it. I have a lot of friends who laugh at me. They say, well, you feel it, Jesus Christ, son. I say, but hear what? If you don't want to do anything to change it, these same young men gonna terrorize you, your children, your wife, your family in the streets.
So true. Those are words of wisdom and common sense.
Sometimes people walk in the street and some crazy person just pull your bag and hit you with something. Just the other day, my partner had to put some hard lash on one of them because he pulled his bag. You see a lady decent boy, you know, he's an old crazy fella.
Right.
And he just turned around and hit some hard tap on him. Relics. And the guys were hungry. Still turned around and gave him a $40.
Oh, yes. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. That's something. I wouldn't use the physical, but certainly I will turn around and give something, even though I'm subjected to that kind, because you understand. I mean, you can empathize, you common sense and all of the circumstances of the country today, etc.
But the thing is, the government have to be more supportive. When you have MPs like Leons and them, and you have other social groups, you have to be more supportive. They need programs, because I always go way back to 86 when we had all these programs. Carson, Charles and us had all these programs. PNM came in, they closed them down. When you The other day I had was the smile. I'm telling someone about estate rehabilitation program, and he arguing with me. It never happened. I said, yes, we had estate rehabilitating programs where we went, we got all these people who are their abandoned estates, and we put people to work. Those special works people, and now so today.
Yeah, who would have said that were downtrodden and were so battered that,
right.
that they are indolent, they are lazy,
yes.
and all kinds of some of the excuses that were made by this government to close down places like Petrotrin and so on, and send the country into a further tailspin in terms of poverty and of course non-productivity and so many other social ills manifest, of course, mainly in the crime and criminality.
But what happened to within 5 years, the short 5 years we had there, because that was our 5 years,
Yes.
But that short 5 years, a lot of people did plenty things. Some of those men we took from the projects learned to be proper carpenters and masons and things. Some of them who wanted to go into the estate rehabilitation program, some of them are qualified agriculturists today.
Yes.
Because they got so interested that and they were motivated enough to go and do different courses.
Right.
And end up being qualified, holding a certificate, getting the people, demonstrating people, and train them throughout the world. That is what people do.
Yes.
America does it, and I would only call those democratic countries, because socialist countries you have no other choice.
Yeah.
You can't say you're not doing it.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't even mention why China is so thing, because people might feel I believe in those things.
Yes.
But democratic countries where you have freedom of thought and freedom of expression and that kind of thing, you have the right to say yes or no. America is one of the countries that they do a lot of training. You have Canada do a lot of training, even England do a lot of training, and they get some good results and some bad results.
Yes.
But we can do that too. Train people and come up with programs and get them involved in business. Why some people feel is only certain people should be involved in business.
Yes.
And that, up to now, I can't understand why. Some people think, I know why. Why some people think like it's only a certain group of people have sole control and monopoly on business.
Yeah.
And other people don't have the brain for business.
Yes, indeed.
And when you look at some of these people who you say don't have the head for business, they have a whole set of economists, a whole set of this, a whole set of managers run other people's business. But they don't have head for their own business.
For their own business, yes.
That make any sense?
Not at all. It is totally ironic. And frankly, asinine to, of course, to take that position when in fact all these African people in particular are running multi-million-dollar enterprises for
all
others rather than for themselves. I mean, it is pathetic, but that's reality. And of course, our job here on the Corridor Transformation, Dr. Khalid, is to, of course, make them conscious that they have a role and responsibility, quite apart from the record and the historians and so on, who may be prepared to be revisionists and not to represent the truth. The fact of the matter is that we ourselves have a responsibility as well to treat with matters such as these as best as we can, and we must awaken the consciousness of the people,
because we have our children and grandchildren. Some people have great grandchildren.
If you still undecided, that come like if you're in a ring with gloves and a big strong heavyweight coming at you and you making up your mind whether to put up a guard.
Sorry about that, people. Just something we were testing. It's part and parcel of the test, so bear with us. From time to time you'll have these intrusions. Let me put it that way. But go ahead, Dr. Khalid, on the topic that you were pursuing.
So that is it. You have to train people, Lennox. Take them and put them in, get them involved, find out what they like. I have a young man. He's going to Southeast Port of Spain. Very, very bright. And he come by me almost every day, and we talk.
Right.
And he's interested in so many things, but he's a reformer like me.
Right.
He goes around bringing all of these little boys and girls, and we always having conversations. Sometimes I tell him, look, I'm tired.
Right.
But he go and bring them. And incidentally, guess what month and what date he born?
I suppose he equal to you?
Yes! He's the 18th of
Yeah,
January, the only thing we born.
educated guess.
He born different. Yes! One old and one pretty young.
Yeah.
And he, every time I see him, I see me.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah, so you're totally enthused.
Yes.
Yeah, and impressed by his enthusiasm.
And he's smart. And up to yesterday, I had to start to say, you get into too many arguments because people trying to convince him that Laventille is no good. And then what make it worse with him is grandfather is a white man.
Right.
Just like my grandfather.
Right.
Right? But he's very light.
Right.
So they're calling him in Southeast, they call him white man.
Yeah, you're gonna get that. That's fatigue.
So I'm trying, I'm teaching them to cope and thing, and he come there. One day you'll jump in and see.
Yes,
Sometimes he has 6-5 of them.
Right.
Little boys who been going astray, and he pulling them. No, come and talk to Mr. Khaled. Come. And we talking and we having different conversation, and I just feel good about it.
Yeah. But these agents of change, I mean, it's crucial, for work that we are doing, because they would be the satellites, the extension, because we can't be everywhere,
No.
and therefore they would be picking up that shortcoming that we would have because of human frailty or limitations.
We getting older.
Yes.
But what make you feel good is when you have younger people who following that kind of thing.
Right.
People tend to say, man, I have time with these young people. I don't have time with this and that.
Yes.
But you feel good when you see young people gravitating towards.
I was just told that the phone is operating tree. Give me a test call, and let me see what we can do. The phone is off. The volume too low. Oh. When we talking? Oh, I see. Okay. All right. We were just told that our volume is too low, so let's improve that. All right. I'm sure that it has been improved now. Yes, I learned a lot last night. And one night, the learning curve here is very, very, very sharp in order to achieve our objective. So we probably have to talk a little louder as well. But thank for our monitoring team. So if you see me looking back and so on and talking to somebody, no, I ain't talking to thin air. I'm talking to someone in the background that obviously whose place is there and not here. Right? That means me. But I want to, of course, entreat you with a video that we have put together, and to, of course, look at, in a sense, where we have come from, the commanding heights of our economy, what has happened, and whether or not we can regain that ground, having regard to all of the dirty water that has passed under that bridge. I want to tell you as well that we would be looking at some of your comments as well, but guess what? On the screen I'm seeing here is very, 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 very almost, it's so small that even wearing glasses I have difficulty in seeing. So you would assist, you would have some patience, and if we are stuttering a bit is because we cannot see too clearly some of your comments as well. Even the names, I'm seeing it very, very blurred. So we'll have to adjust that. I know we cannot do it now, but certainly we will do our best to read out some of the comments, because that is what we would do on a Sunday on the live. Any other thing? Was a stick? You serious? Wow. It's sticking, man? What's sticking? Have we not seen it here? All right. Anybody on the live as well? You on it? No, you were talking about utilizing the internet. All right. Okay. All right. No. Our people, of course, we have our people monitoring. We were just told that there are one or two static, but we are seeing it very, very clear and nice on the live here. So we will be monitoring from time to time. But as I said, things are not perfect, and help that you don't pay for. Sometimes people become a bit cagey with their services or their talent, and you can't vex with them as well. Dr. Khalid, last night I had to, of course, tell the technician, well, why didn't you tell us that we had to meet a criteria for YouTube?
Yeah.
And then it reminded me of a famous case where a businessman, a wine merchant, he employed someone to assist him move wine off a vehicle to a cellar, and in the process, the person who was assisting was so reckless, he broke about 3 or 4 cases of that wine, the expensive wine. Well, the owner of the wine of that business took him to court, and of course, one would think, well, listen, the man is doing it for free, so therefore he probably could take the license to be reckless. The court said no, and he was, of course, made to compensate the wine merchant for his negligence. And it means, therefore, that even if he volunteered, action could be taken. Not that I'm not making the point that we are going to take any action, but that came to my mind when, of course, you have someone who you depend on to assist in, of course, advancing your cause, and then, of course, it turned out to be there's more in the mortar than the pestle, so to speak, which could have been avoided, or we could have, of course, addressed sometime before, or put in place immediately. So when we are finished here, we have to, of course, upload some videos and so on the link. I will give you that link. If I cannot give it to you now because I'm looking for it and I'm not seeing it, but I'm going to give it to you. If not at the end of the program, I'll give it to you tonight, and we may put on something where only to deal with the new link, so that now until 8 o'clock tonight, you probably can have a view of the link. So that's how we would do it, in order to, of course, make certain that we are on YouTube eventually, but not yet. We are not yet there live. What has to happen is that we must populate the link. Well, the YouTube station that we have, and then, of course, after that, YouTube will just give us permission to go on live. But that being as it may, let's get down to some of the things that may be the result of why tomorrow may be a very, let's say, I don't want to use the word horrendous, but one cannot be optimistic. So here we go. In the meantime as well, you can call in.
When I grow up, you must swear on Bible and take false oath. You must use big words to get votes. You must lie.
Let's start it over.
Daddy, could you tell me what's the qualification that I must have to be a politician? When I grow up, you must swear on Bible and take false oath. You must use big words to get votes. You must lie and watch me straight in the eye. Oh, son, that's the qualification. of a politician.
Chalky boy, chalky,
You
remove.
must shun people when election done. Well, son, that's the qualification of a politician.
In Watson Duke's case,
So here we go.
evidence has been advanced and he has been charged. And that alone disqualifies him from getting a vote in Tobago as a person who wants to represent you. Our opponent wants to run for a seat under a police charge for rape, for rape, for rape.
Dr. Rowley said come Thursday he will be speaking in Mason Hall and releasing a tape in which the opposition UNC conspired against him in 2015.
Of course, all of that is water under the bridge. We know is a lie. And of course, tonight I'll tell you a little more. But go ahead.
Are domestic violence or domestic issues.
Another issue is the crime.
You call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom. I'm not in your choice of men.
That's the response. That's the response.
Our children from one of our schools in the West, young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle.
And what about the right and responsibility of parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teachers?
Well, I want to tell Mr. Prasad this tonight. That is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Her words are slurred. She's falling all over the world. In the car, out the car.
And she could jump high, she could jump low. She could drink this, she could drink that. She got back from the club, we could drink no shit. No. No money did not never done like that. No. No money did not never done like that. Listen to people who know they're getting on, you know. A lawyer who was on the verge of being your attorney general, sucking from the nipple of the families. I will tell you, like she loved me, like she loved my other man. And because she knows that I love women, she thinks I love any woman. I have taste. And when I don't take one, she unfurls back. It licks in the way, licks in the face, and licks all over your petty place.
Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC go and put that bill where the monkey put the nuts.
But I want to say something about National Security Services. Because if you lose confidence in the people around you who are to safeguard you from those who would want to harm you, I'd rather be without them, you know. I'd rather be without them.
Hamel Smith, my good friend, the former president of the Senate, but I think their symbol should be Mr. Hamel Smith.
That's the National Security Minister talking here.
With a flip gun, killing the cockroaches that interfere in it.
Yeah.
I am very serious. There are no
Imbert.
of drunkards on the PNM platform.
General election time is here. We want
Minister of
to see
National
these
Security is
faces
talking
we
now.
line up.
Violence.
And we see the white of the eye. And as we put on the PNM war paint, and we say, great is the PNM, and we have the symbol of the bodies here. We taking more prisoners. We licking down that. The time has come for you to pass judgment upon her, and upon her hope, and a friend, and a supporter, and the other infidels, and the other traitors, and those who have done damage and pain and embarrassment to the people of Trinidad and
Belligerent,
Tobago.
man.
I make no apology. And all of them is alligator from the same murky lagoon. And all of them is alligator from the same murky lagoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I wind down, I say to tell you, be strong. Do not let anyone distract you. You are focused. You are on a good ship. Because as I told another crowd on the road, there is a ship at Calcutta waiting to sail to Tobago. That ship is waiting to sail to Tobago. They are waiting to get the results of this election. If you bring the wrong results, Calcutta ship is coming down for you. You must stop that ship. We must not allow that ship to sail. And if you don't want the ship to sail, what you have to do, both the PNM, both the People's National Movement, both the candidates, Clinton Sandy.
Her words are slurred. She's falling all over the world. In the car, out the car.
And she could jump high, she could jump low. She could drink this, she could drink that. She could back in the jug, we could make no shit jack. A lawyer who was on the verge of being your attorney general, sucking from the middle of the families. I will tell you, like she loved me, like she loved no other man. And because she knows that I love women, she thinks I love any woman. I have taste. And when I don't take on, she don't fires back. It licks to the waist, licks to the pit, and licks all over your pit with this.
No, no man in the group never done like this. I mean, there's some people who know they can go on, you know. I was going to the Oval one evening, and I stopped as it was drizzling, and a radio station was on. And on that radio station was my...
Because this is Grog Report.
Yeah, but Lennox,
Didn't escape his wrath.
I'm tired of you all, you know. That tree, I don't want to call it name. That tree that is there saying these dirty things about the man. Praise God, I'm not a part of that.
A most vulgar and outrageous radio program was on the air called Ground Report. You remember that? In that report, it was the nastiest, dirty. As a matter of fact, what caught my attention was how filthy the program was on our airwaves. And I was asking myself, and it was all about me, and my father, and my mother, and this, and I had raped this, and I had done that, and the Ground Report. And it was being conducted by known felons on the government payroll. But all this advice we getting from people who should be talking to the police. But all this advice we getting from people who should be talking to the police.
Kamla Prasad, Bisesa, and the UNC go and put that bill where the monkey put the nuts.
Hamilton Smith, my good friend, the former president of the Senate, but I think that symbol should be Mr. Hamilton Smith on assessment in Westmoreland with a flip gun. Killing the cockroaches that in the minute.
That's the National Security Minister today.
Yeah.
Listen to him. Violence.
Yeah.
And we see the white of the eye. And as we put on the PNM war paint, and we say, great is the PNM, and we have the symbol of the Palisade, we taking no prisoners.
Wow.
We looking down that. The
Looking
time
on
has
that.
come for you to pass judgment.
Lick down, of course, in Lavantil terms is kill. Lick down.
Yeah.
Just as peace, P-I-E-C, is a weapon, a gun,
Yeah.
attributed to Dr. Rowley.
I'm gonna get my peace.
Yes.
So we lick down that take you out.
Yeah.
I make no apology.
Yeah.
A most vulgar and outrageous radio program was on the air called Ground Report. You remember that? In that report, it was the nastiest, dirty. As a matter of fact, what caught my attention was how filthy the program was on our airwaves. And I was asking myself, and it was all about me, and my father, and my mother, and this, and I had raped this, and I had done that, and the Ground Report. And it was being conducted by known felons on the government payroll. Oh, but all this advice we getting from people who should be talking to the police. But all this advice we getting from people who should be talking to the police.
Kamla Prasad, Bisesa, and the UNC go and put that bill where the monkey put the nuts.
Hamilton Smith, my good friend, the former president of the Senate, but I think that symbol should be Mr. Hamilton Smith on assessment in Westmoreland with a flip gun. Killing the cockroaches that in the minute. General election time is here. We watching the enemy straight in the eye now. And we see the white of the eye. And as we put on the PNM war paint, and we say, great is the PNM, and we have the symbol of the Palisade, we taking no prisoners. We looking down that. The time has come for you to pass judgment upon her, and upon the host, and a friend, and a supporter, and the other infidel, and the other traitor, and those who have done damage and pain and embarrassment to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
exactly 1 month after the government came into office.
Before you go further, of course, Dr. Khalid, I just want to get your comment, because those are personalities. I mean, and I think the classic definition for personality and character, two different things. Character, of course, is your sense of right and wrong. Basically, right? Personality is how people interpret you, because you may have a very awful personality, but very good character. But what we are seeing purporting to be government and leadership in the country today are persons without character and without personality. You know, in the classic sense, and therefore, having regard to their performance over the last 8 years, and people, of course, we are talking like this and we are playing this as well as to, of course, test the system as well. So you will appreciate the regurgitation, but the regurgitation is also just in case you are in disbelief that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago or a Minister of National Security, which he initiated, which he appointed, he, Rowley, the Prime Minister, appointed. And you can, tonight, of course, we will talk about the inescapable conclusion that one has to draw with such a scenario. I don't want to have Dr. Rowley, Dr. Khalid in my presence, when, of course, I may be making statements that may be libelous, and therefore I want to be totally responsible for what I say. But Dr. Khalid, what you have heard so far, is that the kind of leader in terms of those kinds of utterances, and nestle it in the reality of Trinidad and Tobago today?
Listen, see the kind of statements that he been making about camera and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's only in Trinidad they can do them.
Only in Trinidad?
Yes. Because other places, people deal with it with law or however. You think what I mean?
Yes.
And this other one, Heinz, want to talk all this kind of thing. But they're using the word democracy, but they don't really believe in that. Because these people opinion, like you disagree with me, right? My political views, I take you as my sworn enemy, because you're not supposed to disagree with my whatever I say.
Yeah, you can be dogmatic and at the same time obnoxious.
Yes, I am
and
not,
vitriolic as well.
Yes.
When, of course, this is civilized war.
Right.
They don't know the meaning of it.
No, and they angry. Anybody attack them, they go at you. And I can tell you, I grew up in a place, and you too in Laventille there.
Yes.
Men who support other parties when we were growing up, especially when I was growing up, fellas from that same Laventille used to go and beat them. You can't say anything against the PNM. And they still have this mentality, some of them. And they want to call themselves civilized. They want to talk about their democratic and all this kind.
Yes.
Give me a break. Give me a break. Yes, you could say it happened in other places in the country, in the world and all that. But right now we're talking about Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes. And that's where I find it very inhospitable, for want of a better term, or totally incongruent with the fact that we are talking Trinidad and Tobago, but you want to Crimea all over the world, when in fact all over the world doesn't have a government that had or has 5-point-something billion in US in the Heritage and Civilization Fund, inherited over 10 billion in reserves for only 1.5 million people. That's the point.
Yeah.
All over the world doesn't have that. Let's not waste time with that. Just as how it was a misnomer to quote what is happening in the northern hemisphere when COVID was around. Millions of people occupy huge spans of land, and you talking about a small piece of land with only 1.5 million, and you have over 5,000 deaths. and you're comparing it with people who have millions. New York City alone, 7 million people, and that's just one city. So we know that it is hogwash, and it is an attempt, of course, to probably put a square peg in round hole, and then therefore the argument is consistent with that. People, of course, we would like you to test the line as well. Please, the number to call 337-6940, 337-6940. And those of you in the diaspora who still want to make contributions, well, of course, the other number is there in blue, so you can, of course, call Anne-Marie, and of course, Anne-Marie will, if you need to talk to me, we'll talk. I want to tell you that I don't think we'll be able to engage in your comments, simply because it is so fine on the system that it's very difficult to read. I don't know, Dr. Khalid, if you have it. I am having tremendous problems with it, and the names of the contributors are also blue against a black background, so you'll understand how difficult it is. But it's extremely difficult to read. So we will forego that, and of course we will.
This week,
only for this week, as we do our tweaking later down the road. Maybe I might want to do it tonight, because we lost it today in terms of commenting or reading your comments. But that being as it may, let's just complete this particular video as part of the test that we are doing.
I appointed a standing committee on energy.
This was, of course, the Prime Minister.
I took the chairmanship of as Prime Minister,
promoting Malcolm Jones.
And the committee included Mr. Malcolm Jones, a former executive chairman of Petrotrin, under whose stewardship that GTL plant came to grief. I noticed that a lot of media attention has been placed on the information about Malcolm Jones. And I'm sure there's somebody in this press corps that wants to talk about Malcolm Jones. And let me say this, right? There are two people in this country who has given the country human service in the energy area, which has put us where we are today in a lot of things that we take for granted. One of those persons is Professor Ken Julian, and the other is Malcolm Jones. These are pioneers. There was one project that went horribly bad. That is not an issue for debate. That is a very clear statement. So when Petrotrin went and tried to become involved in leading edge technology of converting gas to liquids for diesel, but it didn't go right.
It didn't go right, Dr.
But I said it was a business deal that went bad. It didn't
go right.
It was a deal that went bad in a company which is state-owned, and a lot of money was lost.
And very
what was the value of the deal that went bad? Was it 6 billion or 10 billion?
That was
I don't have that figure in front of me, but it's a substantial amount of money. I don't know if it's 6 or if it's 10. Anything like that. Malcolm Jones is to be held accountable for $1.5 billion in loss.
But they disregarded the union's advice.
That's, of course, Roger.
On a cosmetic project that cost
the head of the OWTU
billions of dollars. And our position is quite clear, that if they could have removed from the court Mr. Jones's matter, the matters that we had won in the court, already won in the court, we insist that they also withdraw all of those appeals. So Mr. Jones cannot get special treatment, and the workers of Petrotrin, certainly OWTU members, singled out for a different type of treatment.
As a person coming out of office,
they went ahead with the construction of that plant despite our advice, strong advice against that. The union advised Mr. Jones and the board of directors that we have done our research, which research pointed to that effort would have been a failed effort from the start. Today, Petrotrin is reeling under relentless pressure, which has to do with Petrotrin's performance as a company. And during the period which this WGTL fiasco took place, it was Mr. Malcolm Jones that led the company. It was Mr. Malcolm Jones, not just WGTL, but the failed ultra-low sulfur diesel project, which had billions of dollars in cost overruns, which also saw the company not being able to complete those projects on time. And so environmental problems, financial problems, total mismanagement. Mr. Jones, if anything he could boast about is for the failure of Petrotrin. Petrotrin is where it is today in major part because of the failure of the stewardship of Mr. Jones as executive chairman. And I don't know what would have possessed this government to take someone who had failed in a major state enterprise, a critical state enterprise. The record is there to see. And so for him to be placed at a cabinet-appointed steering committee on energy is just another farce. He has absolutely nothing to contribute.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Is Mr. Malcolm Jones not involved in some advisory capacity on an energy committee of this administration?
Malcolm Jones is a member of I think it's a 16-man.
This is where Dr. Rowley was on TV6 being interviewed by Fazil Ali.
My family business, $1 billion.
Well, understand, Malcolm Jones was part of a board of a management of a state enterprise.
He was chairman.
Yes, but you see, you say Malcolm Jones, we say the board of Petrotrin. We say Petrotrin. Mr. Jones' presence on that committee allow.
No, it's important to stick up in there, Dr. Cullen, because earlier Dr. Rowley said that because of the human service that Malcolm Jones and his colleague did for Trinidad and Tobago, that they ought not to be. He stopped short of saying that specifically, but that is what I would have interpreted, and therefore he should be exonerated from any allegations of or any impropriety in public life having regard to the significance of the oil industry to Trinidad and Tobago's economy. Remember, it is contributing to, and still do, 80% of the foreign exchange that Trinidad and Tobago gets. Talking about oil, gas, and petrochemical. 80% of the revenue and something like 60%, I believe, of the export that Trinidad and Tobago provides to the rest of the world. So that is significant. And we make that point because tomorrow is the budget. And we must know that a significant part of the revenue potential has been frittered away because of that kind of decision that Dr. Rowley made and the PNM as early as 2016 when the government came into office, because you heard him say that as soon as he came into office, he appointed a board, and of course Malcolm Jones was part of it, and they proceeded, of course, at the end of the day to pull that matter out of the court that the UNC was pursuing, but never decided to withdraw the appeals that the government had in the court against rulings in the labor court, in the industrial court, in favor of the OWTU. So those were the elements, those were the variables, those were the building blocks to the disaster that you are going to be hearing tomorrow, and that's just a prediction. Yeah. Let's see how it materializes then. Let's go to the end of this clip, and then of course we will make our departure as well.
Us to get a certain kind of information, a certain kind of insight that because he was Petrotrin chairman, because that was only one of Petrotrin's businesses. Petrotrin is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise that Mr. Jones managed for a long period of time.
Or mismanaged.
Well, you could say that. Well, you could say that.
Or mismanaged.
Well, you could say that. Well, you could say that.
And he said you could say that, yeah.
PNM deals with
Listen to this.
And that is how we dealt with Malcolm Jones. And if it is that there are people who believe that they would,
he don't care.
Would have dealt with it differently,
he don't care.
Then that's reasonable.
Our major source of income, he don't care.
We know how they dealt with it. We know what the outcome was. But I think for it to be a national conversation, that there's something that ought to be lauded in persecuting a person who served this country in the way that Malcolm Jones has done.
Listen.
All that does is to ensure that nobody else of his caliber comes into the public.
He determines that.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Is Mr. Malcolm Jones not involved in some advisory capacity on an energy committee of this administration?
Malcolm Jones is a member of I think it's a 16-man committee.
Why? Because the reason I don't mean any disrespect, but if I made a decision that cost my family business $1 billion,
well, understand,
they would run me from there.
Wait, Malcolm Jones was part of a board of a management of a state.
Still trying to justify that.
Was chairman.
Yes, but you see, you say Malcolm Jones, we say the board of Petrotrin, we say Petrotrin. Mr. Jones' presence on that committee allows us to get a certain kind of information, a certain kind of insight that because he was Petrotrin chairman, because that was only one of Petrotrin's businesses. Petrotrin's a multi-billion-dollar enterprise that Mr. Jones managed for a long period of time.
Or mismanaged.
Well, you could say that.
We are not going to accept any job cuts in Petrotrin, none whatsoever.
That's union boss answer Roger in response to the January 11th address by the Prime Minister. But that's not all.
Nobody will be allowed to take away Petrotrin from the hands of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. When you put it in private hands, it goes to the pockets and the bank accounts of the private interests.
After many long hours of negotiations and careful, in-depth
exactly that he did, Roger,
and examination by the government, over the weekend, Petrotrin was given directions by the Corporation Soul on Monday morning to offer the OWTU an interim increase of 5% in salaries and wages for the 2011 to 2014-2015 period.
And Dr. Khaled, that is significant, you know, because here it is, no indication that they were going to close down Petrotrin, because remember they were in negotiations. Rocher was bubbling with confidence that they will not allow anybody to, of course, close down Petrotrin. And then, of course, we had the most infamous and what I consider to be inimical and vitriolic and at the same time, I should say, epithet statement that the government is not going to close down Petrotrin. Assurance given eventually by Rowley. Notice it was 5% of a 10% deal. And he said that once you're closing the fridge, let me repeat, that nobody can encourage the government, and I'm paraphrasing here, to close down Petrotrin. And eventually it was in fact closed down.
In fact, yes.
Of course, you have to stay tuned tonight to know exactly why it was, because as I say, we don't want to I don't want to be in the presence, or put another way, I don't want Dr. Khaled to be in my presence when, of course, I'm making statements that may be considered to be libelous, right? So you would appreciate that. But the fact of the matter is that those are the things that are in the public domain. We are speaking now. And that is, Dr. Rowley said he will not close down Petrotrin. Negotiations were completed. They were given at 10%. 5% was paid. But eventually, he closed down Petrotrin, and the other 5% became null and void and of no effect, as they gave all of the employees severance pay, and they got rid of them. Most despicable. Let me just complete it, and then of course we will make our departure.
To be paid immediately at the next payment cycle.
I've already told the trade unions that from 2017 to 2020 our offer will be 0, 0, 0.
Petrotrin offered an increase of 0% for the 2014 to 2017-2018 period. This offer was not guided by the corporation soul for a 0% increase for the 2014 to 2017-2018 period. 2008 was the year when our country earned the most money in the history of this country.
But Dr. Khaled, as well, I want you to notice the dishonesty here of Dr. Rowley. So negotiations were, they give them 5%, right? Roger was of the view that nothing could be further from the truth. The government closing down Petrotrin. So they were all very optimistic. Dr. Rowley withdrew the Malcolm Jones matter from the court under specious argument again that he makes so much contribution, and then of course blaming the board of Petrotrin when it is convenient, and then of course saying that that neither the government will countenance the persecution of this man called, who is now deceased, of course, the former head chairman of the Petrotrin, are talking about Malcolm Jones. And then mysteriously or amorphously, we are hearing something totally different, and of course stated by the Minister of Finance that they will not be given any increases, 0, 0, 0. You know, that kind of talk was being peddled, and yet still Dr. Rowley comes back and say that that wasn't driven by the Minister of Finance, the Exchequer. That's another nice term for the Minister of Finance. It wasn't driven by the Exchequer. Is it? Let's conclude this thing. Was it a deception from the beginning? Was it a continuum of a deception that up to today and tomorrow is the presentation of the 2024 budget statement? What can one glean or build into that, Dr. Khalid?
Well, I think like I said, Lennox, I agree with your opinion, and this is the thing, and it's the people of Trinidad and Tobago have to be mindful that the only direction that you can get under his leadership is things like that.
It's frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating. It is disconcerting. It is just plunge people in a state of hopelessness. Yep. I mean, and you know, you can't plan. I mean, what kind of government is this?
No, well, people must make up their mind, and they must come to the understanding. All those split, and you know where I'm going.
Yes.
All those splinter parties you have there, come together, and for the sake of saving Trinidad and Tobago, and get rid of these people.
Okay.
The offer from the company at the time was 0.00% increase in salaries and wages for the 2011 to 2014-2015 period.
Dishonest.
Incidentally, this was the time of high oil prices, and when other employees on the state payroll were being offered increases of 14%. The OWTU did not accept the offer of a 0% increase. 2008 was the year when our country earned the most money in the history of this country.
The government is not closing down Petrotrin. The statement from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley at a PNM public meeting in Marabella in the heartland of the Pointe-a-Pierre refinery. He had one message for the mothers, sisters, neighbors, and those attached to the Petrotrin business.
The government is not closing down Petrotrin.
Infamous statement, of course. Despicable, dishonest, deceiving.
Let me repeat it. The government of Trinidad and Tobago, is not closing down Petrotrin.
Daddy, could you tell me what's the qualification that I must have to be a politician? When I grow up, you must swear on Bible and take false oath. You must use big words to get votes. You must lie and watch me straight in the eye. What's and that's the qualification of a politician.
Yes indeed, people. So I thought we should, do some nostalgia, and of course see why we are in the quagmire that we are in, and of course why the pessimism of tomorrow when that budget is presented by the what I consider to be the charlatan Minister of Finance. Dr. Rowley say Alachichek is a better accountant and or Minister of Finance than anybody else. No, it shows a conspirators grouping of persons who are prepared, of course, to misbehave in public office with the resources of the country, non-transparent, tell us on every opportunity in major matters that they have signed non-disclosure agreements, etc., etc. But when we look on the ground to see value for money, we cannot make the coordination or the comparison. But that being as it may, Dr. Khalid, you have a closing remarks. We have come to the end. We cannot, as I said, facilitate because of the fine writing, but we will certainly, I'll try to do some tonight.
And rectify it.
Yes, rectify. Any closing remarks?
Well, again, people, like I said before, it's always a pleasure coming here every Sunday, and I can assure you we are doing our best to improve the thing, and as Lennox said, we now have access to YouTube, so we are making progress, and next week, God's willing, I'll be here again to talk to you.
Yes, indeed. But of course, I'll post up the link after this program, so expect it, and then of course we will go into tonight with the link as well to YouTube. All right, so we are doing our best. Have a wonderful rest of the day. I'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock. Bye bye.
You sign off already?
Yes.